What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
Hello, thanks for having me on the show. Thanks for having me here.
It's a pure delight. Thank you for working it into your incredibly busy schedule.
Yeah, it wasn't hard because I also sort of host the show, so it was like part of my show anyway.
Oh, I see what you're
Part of my day.
Yeah, part of my day. I had it
penciled in. Yeah. Oh, already said something in unison. The bingo cards are popping off. Unbelievable.
Right clean out of the gate. So Jay, how are you this week, man?
Man, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I had a fun weekend full of Pokemon.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
I feel like the resurgence of Pokemon in your life is happening in a very significant, prominent daily way, which is saying something, because I would say before, you were big into the Pokemon Go.
Right.
You're level 40.
I am. Now you can be level 50.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. Was that a little bit of a gut punch? Because I know you had spent I think a solid 3 years achieving 40.
It took a long time, and the gap between levels at this point is significant. It was one of those hitting 40 is one of the things that stopped me playing. It caused me to lose interest a little more, because it was now I don't really have a goal to work towards other than completing the Pokédex, and a lot of what I have left to do is just a matter of doing raids and stuff, which you need lots of people to do, and it's not convenient for my life to be well, Beth, I think I'm gonna just go do some Pokemon Go raids this week and try and find some strangers to play with.
Sure.
I don't have many close friends who also play the game.
Understandable. So correct me if I'm wrong, though, but I feel like once upon a time you had told me that it had taken as long to get from 39 to 40 as it did from 1 to 39. Is that a fair?
I don't think 1 to 39.
Okay,
no, but maybe
not
1 to 20, maybe 1 to 30 or something.
Okay. So it represents a substantial chunk of that remaining little bit to do. This was back when I used to play Diablo 2. This was always a thing because the max level was 99, but it was the case that 98 to 99 took longer than 1 to 98. And back when I was playing it, the way that I had gone about playing it was I had a bot that would effectively play itself.
Right.
And then what really made it fun for me was manipulating all of the little characteristics where it was I can improve this by this amount. And then it was whether it was Magic Find or something, it's okay, by having an extra 100% on my character, I can do 100 less runs a night because I'm losing some of my ability to travel faster, but am I finding better stuff?
Just lots of testing.
Right. And you're trying to find that exact crosshair of okay, there's something to be said for character efficiency, but then the other end of it is in terms of speed, and then the other end of it is ability to then find rare items and which one yields the best in terms of a ratio standpoint, that correct balance. But the point being that while I was doing that, my character was quite literally playing the game for all intents and purposes 24/7 for weeks on end.
Right.
And I mean, doing it for 3 months.
Yeah.
I don't think my character hit 99.
So if you met someone in the game who had a level 100 character, that was a real milestone.
Well, 99 was the top.
Okay, so if you hit 99,
yeah,
then that was a real milestone.
Yes, but it also, this is what I was going to ask you, because I would be willing to bet that there are plenty of people who have already achieved level 50 on Pokemon Go.
Well, here's the thing, is that in Pokemon Go, there are the really top level players are more what you would call experience hunters.
Okay.
So you could, even after you hit 40, it would show you how much experience you'd gathered at the bottom of your little profile page, in excess of the max level.
So there was still almost some additional clout to be gained almost by continuing to go.
Yes, at the tip top of this of the players on the game, it was a matter of setting the high score by being the one who has collected the most experience in the game.
That is interesting, because contrasting with Diablo 2, that was not the case at all. Once you got to 99, the little bar never went up again. You just the experience bar just was static.
Right.
It no longer would continue to track progress. So, but the thing that is curious to me is when I was playing that game, it was always when you saw a level 99, I'm I know how hard it is to get to level 99, and it is hard.
No casual players at 99.
Exactly, yeah. So it's when you see level 50s in Pokemon Go, it's okay, you are because my interpretation of the way that you played it was not aggressively necessarily, but you were almost always doing it.
It was. I mean, we were fortunate in that we worked in a spot where like we were near Pokemon stops and stuff, and we would eat out for lunch a lot. So we would be around lots of new stuff every day.
Right.
And there were like opportunities to go, let's take this route over here to go try and catch this thing or something.
But that's part of my point though, is that like you had arguably reasonably grand access to a fair bit of stuff, and just my like sort of being in general proximity to you was very aware of how often it was never like really a huge distraction for you. You were very good about like having it on the table, sort of like doing the thing, but then also like being a part of the conversation.
Right.
So not for people at home thinking that Jay was like constantly just like absorbed by like this app or whatever. That was definitely not the case. But what is mind blowing to me is the thought that there could be people that are doing it that much more.
That's the sort of the thing, like that, we joke on this exact show about how like, oh, Jay gets too technical about Pokemon, and it's like, here's the thing, it's like, I know that I am like leaps and bounds above the average person's like Pokemon knowledge.
Sure.
But I am also like, I am far enough into it that I know that there are people who are yet leaps and bounds further.
Yes.
It's like I have gone on, like I remember like learning about competitive Pokemon or like breeding once upon a time. And it's like, you can breed Pokemon so they have this nature and so they have this ability, and you can make sure they have this set of perfect fixed stats, and then you can manipulate these stats after they're bred. And I was like, no one's going to this much trouble, but it's like, oh yes. Not only are they, but they're doing it over and over and over. And it's like the process of even just getting like a single Pokemon there could cause you to breed like 100.
Yeah.
And that process, just the breeding can take, hours and hours and hours.
Sure. Yes, no, absolutely. And like, this is sort of that thing, like, and again, like for my version of it, it would be with like Diablo. But like, if I were to like talking to people and be like, yeah, I have like a bot running and like blah, blah, blah. Like,
yeah.
Immediately for a lot of people, that's like that line where it's like, whoa, you are like way more into it.
Yeah.
But on the flip end of that, it's like, I also know that like, I know nothing. Like there's sort of that constant idea of like, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
The more you know, you don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And this is like, I feel like there's like two ends of this particular phenomenon, which is we talk about it all the time, but it's on one end of the spectrum, you have Dunning-Kruger, and on the other end of the spectrum, you have imposter syndrome. And in the middle is probably like a happy, healthy line. And the two axes in play there are your confidence of knowledge on a particular topic on the vertical, and then on the other is actual knowledge.
Right.
And it's sort of like Dunning-Kruger is you have very little like knowledge or experience, but your confidence is incredibly high.
Right.
Because you feel like you have dipped your toe in far enough that you think you know a lot about a thing.
Like you've rapidly gained a ton of information and gotten significantly better in a short amount of time. And you're like, I got this.
Right. But then the more time you spend with something, you kind of have this progress where you're like, wow, at one point in time, in the very beginning, I thought that I knew a lot. And now, as time has gone on and I actually know way, way, way more, I look back on that and I realize, man, I knew so little. And so now you might actually be verging on being closer to a professional, but because you've had this experience of realizing how much you didn't know before, that then applies and you become an imposter syndrome, which is where you have very low confidence, despite the fact that you have extensive amounts of knowledge.
Yeah, it's very weird because it's like I feel like this happens to me all the time, where it's like you'll find something and like you'll be very confident, and then you'll get further into it, and suddenly like your confidence is like evaporates, and you're like, I used to like walk into this with such like bravado, like I could conquer it.
Yes.
And now I'm like, why does everything seem so hard? And it's like, I feel like I used to be better.
Yes.
But it's like, it's not that you used to be better. It's that you used to not know.
No, you used to not know. This is, okay, so when I was a kid, I was probably like 11, 12, 13 years old. I was so big about going to our local swimming pool. Like I would go every single day of the summer, like from start to finish. And the big thing that I loved to do was the diving board.
Right.
And it was constantly like, I remember like learning how to do a backflip for the first time. And it was like, as far as I was concerned, there is nothing cooler than a backflip. Like, especially at that point in my life. Like, that was like,
what?
I learned how to do it, and it was almost like I needed to tell everyone I knew, like, I learned how to do a backflip.
I can do a backflip.
This past weekend at the Virginia Beach Rock and Roll Half Marathon.
That's right.
I think, was that where we were?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you remember this?
No.
We were at a hotel pool when I learned how to do it for the first time. But anyway, so this was something that like I even remember as that 12, 13-year-old kid that like older kids, like high school age kids would challenge me to like trick offs like on the diving board.
Wow.
Yeah. So it would be like, you go up there and it would almost be like playing like horse, like with basketball, where like you choose the spot, you shoot. If you make it, they have to shoot from there. And if they miss, like you gain a letter and you don't want to like spell the whole thing out. So this was sort of the same thing where it'd be like, okay, like we're going to pick a move. And if you can do that move, then we move on to the next move. And right. You following?
I know how a horse works.
Okay. So as time went on, though, this was like something that like I was super proud of, and I like was very, very confident about it. Like anybody can come up to me and be like, it's on, let's do it.
Yeah.
I called it the California backflip, which I don't think was actually a real thing, but it would be like where you would run straight down the board, you would jump in the air and twist at the end of the board, bounce off of it into a backflip.
No, I think that's what it's called.
Oh, that is in fact what it's called? Okay.
At least, that's the street term for it, at least.
On the streets?
Yeah, when you're playing street board.
Street
in
board.
the pool.
In the pool, yeah. So that was always like my like ace in the hole that I would like keep in my back pocket forever.
I can run and then spin, land on the board, and jump backwards. With momentum.
Off the high dive.
Off the high dive. Maybe I tuck. Maybe I don't. We'll see. Maybe I'll have a twist. Maybe. Yeah. Whew, my goodness.
I know. It was getting crazy. But so anyway, this was something where it was like it was true of me like in middle school, and then as I got older, I just stopped going to the pool as much because I just had other things going on. But I remember being senior year of high school, and I guess there had been like enough of this reputation about me that someone told the swim team coach that I had diving board prowess.
Right. Yeah, you had some diving chops.
Yeah. And he was my personal finance teacher at the time, and so he spent like the whole first like fall quarter of the year, 9 weeks, trying to convinced me to join because diving was like a very non-competitive thing in our area. So like if you had a diver on your team, especially at like the district, regional, state meet, it was almost like surefire points.
Right, like you get free points.
Right, because there were so few people competing. Right. And so this was such a prime example of all of a sudden it was I was on the team. I was the sole member of our Cave Spring High School's diving team my senior year.
Yeah,
the first time I'd ever done it. And the really odd thing about this particular sport, because there are so few people that do it, was that everybody in our area, like all the adjoining schools nearby, we all did practice together.
Right. Yeah.
And we were coached by like the college coaches who I think were probably doing it as like a just outreach type of thing.
Right. They're recruiting. They're like, anyone, maybe we'll find someone good.
A diamond in the rough. Yeah. So it was, I got there and all of a sudden there was like 5 of us total, maybe 6, but you had cheerleaders and gymnasts.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly who you have.
And it was like, ooh. Like, so I get there and I'm like, I can't wait to like show these kids like what I got, my California backflip.
That's right.
They won't even see it coming, which is not like a regulation. Like you couldn't do that in a meet. Yeah. Like that's not a real move.
Also, I'm sure they could do it.
I'm sure they can do it. Like no problem at all.
Yeah.
But so the other thing too, so I get there and I'm like way out of my league instantly because like form is everything when it comes to diving, and I had none of it.
Right.
I grew up on the street board circuit.
Exactly, the street board circuit. I grew up playing, street horse on the boards.
Right. So the other thing about it too is that like diving boards at like your local swim club are incredibly rigid so that nobody gets hurt. Mm-hmm. Like, so it is a plank that extends over water that you can run and jump off of into the water. Mm-hmm. But then like a diving board for like diving purposes is like super bendy.
Yeah.
And so I remember like I get up there and I have this like gigantic leap onto the end of the board, which goes down like 4.5 feet.
Right. Like it's about to, throw you.
Yeah. So like, I mean, literally my very first time, like the teacher or the coach being like, show us what you got. I almost like destroyed myself.
like I am high in the air.
Yep. And like, almost came down and hit the diving board. And I came up and everybody's got like their hands to their mouth. They're like,
this kid's crazy.
That was so close to being bad. Which was hilarious. And my confidence plummeted completely. Mm-hmm. And so I don't even think I had enough ability to technically classify myself as imposter syndrome. I was more in the Dunning-Kruger column for actual ability, but with the confidence of somebody with imposter syndrome. So
worst of both worlds.
Yes,
all of a sudden,
very low,
like,
very low confidence and very low actual expertise.
Man, okay, I've been we've been.
Wow.
Beth and I have been watching the Mighty Ducks Game Changer show in Disney Plus.
Love it.
So good.
Yeah.
So very good. So in the meantime, because they only come out like once a week, we've also been rewatching the old Mighty Ducks movies.
Absolutely.
Right. And so in D2, the Mighty Ducks.
Right, the one.
The Ducks are chosen as like Team USA.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Somehow.
It's like, what about all of the other kids?
They recruit. Right. Maybe it's the case that everyone in America just knows that the kids in Minnesota are actually the best. And they were like, and these are the state champs from Minnesota, so we'll get them. And then we'll also rope in 5 more kids from around the country to round out the United States.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, so they're sitting there, and not only are they Team USA, but they are like whooping everybody.
Sure.
Right? Just destroying the competition, minus Sweden, who's for some reason the bad guys.
Yeah, when is Sweden the bad guy in anything? like Sweden, if you're listening right now, you're great.
So anyway, yeah, right. That's the only team they lose to. But in the movie, they've got Kenan Thompson, who's like some random kid in the stands who's just like harassing the Ducks the whole time,
right?
Because he thinks they're not very good, and because he plays street hockey in in LA or whatever,
right.
And there's this great montage where they go and they run into him on the street, and he's like, "We'll show you how to play," and they go and they play like street hockey with them.
Okay,
and I understand the real point of the scene is because what they really want is to put Kenan on the team, and they want to have the knuckle puck, and everyone loves the knuckle puck. It's so fun.
Yes, it's like is it even in the first Mighty Ducks?
It's not even in the first one,
right? But like if you talk about the Mighty Ducks, everybody's like,
everyone knows the knuckle puck. What's it gonna go? Where's it gonna go? Where's it gonna go? It's an amazing shot. It's a very cool effect, but it's so frustrating to me because they go the Ducks go and play this like street hockey team with these like kids, and it's like a fair fight. It's like both sides are scoring. Someone's like, no, that is just not how, you're playing against the national team.
Right.
They are going to, you can taunt them all you want, but they would wreck you.
Yes.
You are, nothing against the kids who are playing the street hockey, but they would stand zero chance.
Well, yes. Okay. So hopefully our cousin Justin won't mind me discussing this particular topic, but he is our younger cousin who outgrew us very quickly and was like a super athlete.
Yeah.
Played like all sorts of school basketball and stuff like that. And I think he was even recruited to play basketball in college, but then switch schools, and now I think he trains with the women's team for the college that he goes to now. And he was telling me about it, and he's like, oh my God, they run laps around me.
Right.
So from his perspective, he's he is a great basketball player. If you or I were to go and play against Justin, he would crush us.
Right.
But he's out there playing with these now collegiate athletes, and it's even for him who is that good.
Right. Who played a season of college basketball.
Right. Yeah. It's now you see where that measuring stick goes, and you're like, whoa, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, this is just a long-winded way of me complaining that I think that seems unrealistic.
Yeah. That's what you find unrealistic?
That's what I find unrealistic about D2, the Mighty Ducks.
Okay.
Also, they then recruit Kenan onto the team just out of nowhere mid-tournament. Not out of nowhere.
Right. Is it also the case that they shed the Team USA jerseys and play in Mighty Ducks uniforms for the final?
I think so.
The final game. That
Something
that feels like maybe the governing bodies would be like, no, you can't change uniforms
right.
With this particular, I don't know, but I guess it might, because you need them to be the Ducks, right? That's the whole thing.
Okay, so on that note, if you're also watching Game Changers are you watching the show?
I'm not up to date right now because
yeah. So the entrance description of the show is that the Ducks have gone on to become the sort of the big bads of the show.
Sure.
Now they're the enemy. They're the super rich elite hockey players, and they cut one of the members and they have to start their own team.
Right.
And they're essentially the new team is now also going to be coached by Gordon Bombay and stuff, and they're going to they're obviously going to get better, and that's where it's obviously going.
Right.
But so my issue is that like, okay, but it's called the Mighty Ducks. So how are they going to get to like, how are they going to do that?
Like what is going to be the situational like moment where they're like, we are the Ducks now.
Exactly.
We have taken it back from you.
Exactly. So that's my theory, is that like they are, because that they are going to like bet them the name, that they're gonna say like, you know, like, you guys aren't the real Ducks, and they're gonna be like, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Look who's in the jerseys. Look who has the title. And they're gonna be like, we'll challenge you to a game. Winner keeps the name or something. And they're gonna like, and that's what they'll do, because the idea, they're also like in the first movie, it's like the Ducks come out of nowhere and suddenly they win states, and it's like same thing. It's like I love this ragtag group of kids you got together here in the last couple months, guys, but also the reputation you've given the enemy Ducks now is that they are the elite squad who have been playing since they were 2 years old. So it's like the same situation. Like, you're not going to win 9 games straight all of a sudden. It's going to be unsatisfying to me if they quickly dethrone them.
This is the thing with many sports movies, because like you want to have that first season cap off in such a like a glorious kind of way. But this is like one of the things that I love about Ted Lasso so much.
Yeah.
Is that like you have this like really just absolutely lovable character who comes in and he's all about like just pure positive attitude, and like, like the way that he's trying to like reshape the way that everybody's like treating the team and the way they treat each other, and like the way they approach the sport, and even like maybe the way that they approach life. And at the end of the season, they suck.
Right. They're still not great.
Like as a soccer team, they are not good.
Right.
Like, and even like the previews that have now come out for season 2, which I'm just so unbelievably excited about. It's like the whole thing is that they're like at best tying games.
Right.
So it's like even in season 2, they're still not good. Like, and so my hope is that it's like I'm hoping they can stretch it to 4 seasons.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Like I want the presently named Don't Bothers, who are definitely going to win back the name of the Ducks in some capacity.
Right.
Eventually, I hope that's how the first season ends, is them getting the name back. But if the Don't Bothers defeat the Ducks at the end of season 1, it's gonna be really disappointing for me.
Would you tap out?
I mean, no, I'd probably keep watching because I am enjoying it. But it's just gonna be like, guys, I don't think that's how hockey works.
Right. Yeah.
Like those kids are good.
Right.
Like, don't take it away from them.
The
you know what I mean?
Extreme flip side of this is the movie Remember the Titans, where like the movie would paint it as if like these 2 schools are now integrated, and you've got like black and white players on the same team. And like I mean, I'm sure that there were certainly like adjustments and things with that, but like that team in real life was like unstoppably good. Like they make it look like they keep having to like overcome these like big challenges, and like like teams that have like more legacy or future collegiate players or whatever. But I think in real life, the actual Titans just squashed everyone.
I'm pretty sure. I think our old government teacher in high school was at the game in question at the end of Remember the Titans.
Yes,
which actually happened here in Roanoke. At Victory Stadium, which no longer stands.
Right.
Which that sounds sad. It's not. It was gross. And also now it's where they have Go Fest, which is the best festival.
Right. If you're going to visit Roanoke, visit Go Fest.
During Go Fest. Super fun. They didn't have it last year. That was a bummer. But anyway, our government teacher was there at the game in question. T.C. Williams versus Marshall?
Maybe.
Something.
That sounds right.
That sounds right. And it was not the
nail
biter that they present in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's like what's so interesting about all sports movies is that like almost always you know exactly where it's going. Like, like the team's gonna win.
This is not always how it goes. Look, I think one of our favorite sports movies growing up was Without Limits, the story of Steve Prefontaine.
I want it to be him so bad. Actually, you want to know what frustrates me the most about Justin Bieber?
Yeah,
is that he came through like being very popular around the same time that I was like going through like my high school years.
Yeah,
and had like the long hair.
Yeah,
and so everybody was like, "Oh, you got like that Bieber hair," and it's like, Like, no.
This is such a thing, because you're right. Like, when we were in high school, Justin Bieber was like not a thing.
Yeah.
Not yet. He was like close to becoming
like a household name.
Yeah, close to becoming a household name. But like, YouTube wasn't even really around when we were in high school.
True. That's
like that's where he got his start. I think YouTube started in 2007, right?
I don't know.
I think so. Somewhere around there. Anyway, I graduated in 2006, so
look at you go.
So whatever. But yeah, people will look back and be like, "Oh, you got that Bieber hair," and it's like, no, I really don't, because I had changed my hair by the time Justin Bieber was like doing his thing.
Sure.
Like, what everyone needs to realize is that Bieber has that Prefontaine hair.
Exactly. Yeah, it was like, as someone who was like a career high school runner specifically, it was like, no. Let me show you who Steve Prefontaine is, because that I was trying to be someone, just not Justin Bieber.
Right. It just wasn't. It wasn't a soon-to-be pop icon. It was a long-dead former 4th place Olympic finishing athlete.
You know the one.
Steve Prefontaine. His name rolls off the tongue.
It's a great name.
Great name.
Steve
Prefontaine.
Right. I have to imagine that he is the most famous 4th place finisher Olympian of all time.
Gotta be.
Right?
Gots to be.
Also, spoilers in case you ever watched Without Limits.
Also,
still worth
not
watching.
that much spoilers, though, because it's a real historical thing that happened in 1972.
Right. Yeah. So you could have known anyway.
You could have known. You probably know those Olympics more notably for the terrorist attacks. But also, Steve Prefontaine at the 5,000 meters, big deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it basically changed the sport of running in a lot of ways.
He basically introduced the sport of running to America as if you have ever been like, I'm going to go for a run. That is because of him. Like, you in 2021 are doing that because of Steve Prefontaine in 1970.
So give him like an Air 5.
Yeah. Like, he popularized and normalized running in America as like a exercise anyone might do.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so it's actually kind of interesting as we like view backwards, kind of like looking at that lens, because like one of the things that I was thinking about just, I don't know, over the past couple days or so, was this thought of how history can repeat itself and how important the current events you got to experience will affect your whole life versus like people who now come into the fold after some of those current events have happened don't ever have the ability to truly know what it was like to like live through those things.
Right.
So like 9/11 is a pretty obvious like go-to example for something like this. Like anybody who was like around for 9/11, chances are knows exactly where they were like when they found out the news.
Right.
And like probably all of the subsequential like fallout and just sort of like what the general like tone and vibe was for like a period of time thereafter. Like it really just was hugely impactful. And I would say more recently here would be like the past year, 2020, just in general, going through like a global pandemic effectively would be the other. But these are things that it's very easy, or I think, if you weren't around to live through them and like see the news and feel the impact of those particular events, then it's like you could even look back on that and like realize very easily that like, oh man, like what a tragedy. But like you don't truly have like that. It's hard to go back and know exactly what it felt like for people who lived through it. And so I was thinking about that though, and I'm like, it's so interesting that like on a constant basis, there are experiences that like I watched the movie Hacksaw Ridge last night, and which I really liked. But what I was thinking about with it is that we're probably not terribly far in the future away from there not being anybody left who like fought in World War II.
Oh, right.
Right? Like, because at some point in the next...
Right, the last soldier who was alive during the war will just like pass from the earth.
Right, like just due to old age.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, so I would imagine that it can't be more than like 10 to 15 years from now that would probably be the case. And I'm sure it will be like a noteworthy thing. Like it will be like in the news, you know, like...
Ooh, what a weird thing to think about.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's one of these things that's not terribly far back in history. Like Snow White came out before World War II.
Right.
Right? Like...
Yeah, Snow White came out before World War II came out.
Right. Yeah. Before it came out. So like when you, I don't know, when you think about it through that lens though, it's like, it means that this hugely influential thing, like this period of time that had massive impact on like how and why decisions were being made and like the reverberations from it and just all of the rest. It's like it's gonna be so hard to ever go back in time and understand like why the decisions could have been made the way that they were, because you can't experience what they were experiencing in real time.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. I mean, it's like every time I watch the movie, I mean, you're talking about like 9/11. So it's like every Christmas, a lot of times we'll watch Home Alone. Okay. Right? Big scene at the beginning. Everyone's late to the airport. Everyone's running. Oh my gosh, we just made it. Whoo, close. And every time I watch that scene, I'm like, in what world is this your airport experience, people? Like, and it's like, oh, right. This was a pre-9/11 world where maybe this was how airports were. I'll never know.
Right. Yeah. Like where the security would not be so intense, like where you being late to your flight would like that moment doesn't happen where you walk up and like the gate is closing right in front of you or something like that. It's like that moment happens and you're in security and you're like 40 minutes late for your flight.
Like if they're arriving at the airport 10 minutes before their flight, like today you wouldn't even assume you could get there.
Yeah,
you'd be
exactly.
like, I wouldn't have even have left the house.
Right.
I'd be like, I'm just gonna call and we're gonna have to reschedule. You know, there's no getting through security in 10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That doesn't happen. So what I'm very curious about then, like we just went through, or we're still going through the pandemic.
Right.
And stuff. So it'll be very interesting to see how that affects like every part of your life going forward. Like everyone's like, you and I are both vaccinated, but at the moment, it's still pretty commonplace just to wear masks. I mean, you still should be wearing masks.
Right.
Even if you're vaccinated, like out in public and stuff.
Right.
So it'll be very curious to see like what would be like the staying power of the mask. In like 6 years from now, will you still be like, yeah, I think I am going to keep wearing like it? That's not necessarily because of COVID now, but just in general, why would we risk starting another pandemic?
Well, sure. Or even just like the idea of like, I think we've talked before even now, and it feels so ridiculous to think about this, but like very frequently prior to all of these events, like if I had like a bad cold, like my measure was almost always like, is this too bad that I can't go to, I can tough it out today.
Right.
Like the idea of like coming to work with a cold because I feel like I can tough it out was like, was like a reality of the situation where now it would be like, do not come to work.
I agree. Yeah. There was very much, I think that is a real vibe. A lot of people had to deal with like, oh, I'm sick. Like, too sick?
Right.
How sick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was, I feel like when we were growing up, that was always like, like you didn't go to school for us if you had either a fever or if you had gotten sick, like,
Right. Had like vomited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I wanted to say the word vomit.
Nice word dodge. Not a top 10 word.
Not a top 10 word. I would say bottom 100 at least.
Bottom for sure. Yeah.
But that was always like, that was usually like that sort of like key line versus like, having like a runny nose or a headache or something like that. So that's something where I could see, especially going forward, like it not being entirely uncommon to leave the house and see someone wearing a mask wherever you might go.
Yeah.
And also for that not to feel entirely like unusual. Like you wouldn't look at that and be like, why? Like, what's up with that?
I would say a lot of times, it's not that I've never seen someone wearing like a mask in public prior to the pandemic or something, but it would always be like, this person is like being kind of overcautious, don't you think?
Which feels ridiculous even now to think that that's how you felt.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, now it'd be like, yeah, I can't imagine a point ever in the future where if I saw someone wearing a mask where I would think like, okay, calm it down.
Exactly. So, so that's the thing. So, but then obviously, like a year, 2 years from now, whatever, people who are born then, they will not have gone through this particular situation. And so once they reach further stages of their life, and I guess maybe depending on like how normal it is for them to see it and stuff like that, it could be like one of those things where the like, air quotes, tolerance of seeing somebody out in a mask, it may reemerge for them being like, I wonder why you're wearing a mask.
Interesting. Yeah. I can see something like that. It just depends on what the staying power will be. Because like I can see for the most part just sort of eventually returning to like I don't like in my daily life going to the store, going to a restaurant, I can just be mask free again.
Sure.
But I can also see like maybe like high density population events like requiring it or something. Like if you're at a football game or like a concert or something.
I could see some version of that.
You're way more packed in.
Right. Or at bare minimum, like what I would imagine for myself is at bare minimum having a mask like in my vehicle at all times, even if it's not the type of thing that like, even if I don't necessarily know that I need to wear it every single time I like, enter a store or, go out in public or whatever, it would probably be the type of thing where it's like, I always have one.
Right.
It's like a first aid kit.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like having cash in your vehicle. Cause like, I forgot about the toll booths. Right.
I do have cash in my vehicle.
Right.
Yeah. Specifically for it. We don't have toll booths here.
Exactly. We don't have toll booths here. Anytime I go on a trip, it's like, oh, right, toll booths still only take cash. Get up to date. And they're like, we have Easy Pass. And I'm like, I'm not paying for a year subscription to go as I go on one road trip. Like, come on. And then they're like, how hard is it to get cash for one road trip? And I'm like, really hard.
Yeah, exactly. No, that every single time I go on a road trip and I go through an Easy Pass, every single time I'm like, you know what, this is the year. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna get one and I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna have money in the account, and that way I won't have to worry about it. I can go in the Easy Pass lane. I don't have to go through this other thing. And I never do it. Ever. It's
here's the thing. It wouldn't help.
Would it not?
It would. You would pay for it, but inevitably you'd be caravanning with someone who didn't.
Oh, sure.
And you'd get to coast through, and then you'd have to be that guy off on the side, being like, have they gotten through yet?
Are they waiting?
Where are they? And then they're going to be on the phone like, where are you guys? Oh, okay. Wait, merge back. I'll slow down. Okay, you see it? Okay. Okay, watch out. That guy's coming up. Oh,
You're 100% on this problem already.
Yeah, 100%. This is what's going to happen. And you'll be like, "See, I got the Easy Pass."
Okay, Jay, I'm gonna segue right here now. Okay, Jay, one thing that I want to talk about that I've always really wanted to try, but have never really felt like I was maybe properly spiritual, like religious enough to really get into it, is meditation.
This is something I've also always wanted to like. I see people meditating and I've heard there's like really solid benefits, but it does seem like you always see people in like yoga poses or like sitting there like kind of that's what I think of meditation. That's what I go to, and but I've also seen people just like sit in a chair, just like with their eyes closed, and it's like, I'm meditating.
Right, exactly. So how can you kind of like reframe the way that you approach meditation?
Well, I think the way you get around it is with today's sponsor, NR Meditation. So what they've done is they have like stripped everything about meditation way back down to just the science of it, where they're just focusing on focused thinking. That is the core of meditation.
Right, yeah. So when it comes down to it, I think what a lot of people are truly accomplishing in these other scenarios, whether it be a spiritual, religious, or whatever the case may be, is that they're sort of locking into a mode of highly productive thinking.
Right. And that's basically what NR Meditation is offering. It's like online guided medication where they just like teach you how to meditate, which is really what I want. I feel like I need to be taught how to do it appropriately.
That's the thing. Yeah. Like you need like a starting point. Like it's a skill like anything else, where there's absolutely something to be said for being coached so that you could become better at a particular thing.
Right. And the way they're describing it is like when I am getting ready for stuff, sometimes it feels like my brain will take like all these alternate routes to get there, and they are just like teaching you, like retraining your brain to just like have like don't get sidetracked on this tangent, which is something we could probably benefit from here on the podcast. How about that corny joke today? Anyway, they can help you just think completely straight to the next spot.
Okay, perfect. So it's like Google Maps, but for your brain.
Exactly. It is a roadmap to success and a positive future. If it is something that it sounds like you are interested in at home, listener, you can head over to nrmeditation.com/SCB. Again, that is nrmeditation.com/SCB. Thank you to NR Meditation for sponsoring today's episode.
Yeah, all of the information can be found either in the links down below or in the show notes of today's episode. But maybe one day toll booths will accept cryptocurrency cryptocurrency.
Oh, well, I see what you're doing.
You see what I'm doing?
Okay, all right. So
it's not a real question that I expect him to do that. I mostly just wanted to touch on this particular topic.
What if Tolbas do a 180? They're like, okay, guess what? We don't even accept cash, only crypto.
Only crypto.
And you're like,
Bitcoin
what?
exclusively. Yes.
Boy, now they're sort of ahead of the game. Ooh.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So Bitcoin has been this, or not Bitcoin, but really cryptos in general. I have one of the guys who that works for the aquarium company who is pretty deep into it, and so I get a lot of like daily updates on what's happening in the world of crypto, and as a result, I have like I would say at absolute best dabbled. Like it's kind of like one of those things where it's like this seems like it could be interesting. Like I want to know more about it, but like it's almost like Dungeons and Dragons, honestly. I would say I've had the exact same relationship with cryptocurrency as I have with Dungeons and Dragons, where like for years I have been asking people like questions about Dungeons and Dragons, and I feel like I have slowly started to like understand more about it, and like in how maybe it's like there was never a part of me that could understand where people are like, oh yeah, like I have like a level like 13 wizard, and I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah,
like how do you have a level 13 wizard?
Right. I totally know what you mean. It's like, what, like you have like an avatar that's like leveled up. It's like, yeah, I've played a lot of campaigns. It's like, and like, are these like preset things? Like, no, someone made them up. But it's like, so why don't you just start with all the powers?
Right.
I don't.
Yeah.
Why are you? This is like, it's like you're level 13 by imagination.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're like, yes, exactly.
Right. Like that's the thing. There's like very, very, very real constraints within the measure of your imagination. Like, and I think that's exactly what it is that like, you know, boxes kind of breed creativity.
It's an imagination box.
It's an imagination box.
It's imagination with walls.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Rule-based, man. Okay, from here on out, if anyone ever asks, if you're like a D&D player, which neither of us are, but I do think immediately, if anyone asks you like, wait, what is it? Like, how do you play? Be like, it's rule-based imagination.
Yeah.
So I like that.
I think it's the closest I've gotten to being able to dial it down like a single like snippet.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been the thing that's always blown my mind about D&D is like it feels so immensely freeform to me that I can't imagine the walls. Like I'm like, well, why can't I just like pick up a rock and throw it at the monster? Like, would that not do damage? Would it do damage?
They're like, well, you could do that.
Right. And it's like, but can I just pick up like a rocket launcher? or is that like part of the limitations where it's like, no, there wouldn't be a rocket launcher in the middle of the forest where we are. And it's like, okay, I'm starting to understand.
I see.
But I could pick up a stick, probably. Maybe some poison ivy. I'm thinking about nearby.
I wonder, just as I'm going to interrupt you, I wonder if people can hear the rain and the thunder that is happening in our real world right now.
I know. Yeah, we're having some immense weather. We're on a top floor of where we are, and so the rain is just like 10 feet above us right now.
Yeah,
we can hear it. Okay, so cryptocurrency though. So this is like one of these things where it's like I'll ask people about it, and like sometimes I feel like I'm the knower of information, and other times I'm like that's total Dunning-Kruger, where it's like. I feel like sometimes I'm like, let me explain it to you because I got this. I have a handle on it. And it's like, no. I know this much.
You know this much.
But my confidence is up
like,
here.
I'm good.
Someone needs to bring me a cryptocurrency diving board stat.
I'm ready to be launched.
Before I do myself some damage or something.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so the thing is that the concept that I feel like I keep circling back to with a lot of people.
I'm so afraid we're going to lose power.
I know.
It keeps blipping.
I wonder if flickering is the other thing too, because we are flickering here.
They should be able to see this light flickering, right?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, please don't lose power.
We're amidst a thunderstorm.
We
presently.
are.
Yeah.
This is hardcore podcasting.
We're trying. Now this is podcasting.
It is Star Wars Day.
It is Star Wars Day. Well,
way to get a Star Wars right. Yeah. Well,
Thanks.
as we record, that's why I'm wearing my Star Wars shirt.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So
anyway,
again, I'm going to try it again. Third time's a charm, maybe. So the big thing is people keep asking well, why does it have value? Like, what is it?
It's imagination-based currency.
It's imagination. Yeah, exactly. But when it really comes down to it, all currency is imagination-based currency.
Exactly. Except that you could hold a dollar bill. Except that no one does. does.
Except that no one does. And it's like, it is like if I were to give you a dollar bill, it has meaning. If I were to give you a small piece of paper where I have drawn a dollar bill on it, it has absolutely no value whatsoever.
No value.
And so it's like the whole idea that money itself is a construct. But
Yeah.
then the strange conversation I keep having with people is they're like, well, why don't we just go back to bartering? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, because currency is of course the solution to what was previously bartering. So like, let's say I have cows and you have chickens, and you are like, I will give you 10 of my chickens for one of your cows. But like, if I don't have the proper facilities to house chickens, then what can I do with them? Yeah, it's like I know that the value is there. I know that one chicken is worth 1/10 cow, like by the current exchange standards.
The reason you don't want to go by bartering is because currency is at the very least a standard we could all agree upon, whereas bartering is skill based.
Yes,
You know,
it's true.
Like, oh yeah, I just got 3 cows for my chicken. I'm amazing. And then you know, like, oh, really? How did you do that? Well, you know, I just sweet talked him, you know. It's like, what did it cost you? Like 30 chickens for 1 cow?
So
wow. And it's like, that's the sort of nonsense that could happen.
In a barter-based world, charisma is like...
Is the real currency.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
How's your charisma?
How's
It's
your
like,
charisma?
let me do your bartering for you. And then
Yeah.
like all of a sudden you're exchanging bartering services as part of your barter.
You're bartering for better barterers.
I will barter you my bartering services for your cow.
Maybe, okay, so
And then I'm literally getting I'm getting a product for nothing.
maybe, okay, this should be your D&D character, Ben, since you love Name of the Wind so much. You should be a bard, but a barterer. Right? That's like your every situation you're like, but how about this?
Hold on, let's do an exchange real quick.
Like you're like the bard who's constantly wanted to negotiate with everyone.
A bard who wants to be a tinkerer. Yeah, so it's like you're in a constant state of like, okay, in my packs right now I have 3 ears of corn. Is that worth your single piece of parchment?
Yeah.
Could be. So hang on, where was I going with this? Oh, okay, but so then the other thing that it leads to though is like people are like, wait, so your money's not like worth anything, and many people know this, that like that it is just a construct, but it also goes back to this idea of what was formerly the gold standard, which was basically that like your dollar bills were certificates for actual gold.
Yeah.
You know, and at that point in time it was like, oh, okay, like, you know, what we're doing, gold is too heavy for us to exchange gold as the primary currency.
So this represents that.
Right. So like I can give you a $5 bill, which represents, you know, some gold that you can go to a bank and they will give you the gold for it. But the thing that I actually didn't realize about this, I was doing some research on it today, is that back in like 1934 in the United States is like, I guess when we took our first step off of the gold standard, but gold actually became illegal to possess in the United States.
What?
And it was actually a situation where you had to turn over your gold to the federal government in exchange for like what was an agreed upon rate per weight at that point in time. But they didn't want people hoarding gold reserves effectively. And so they was like, no more gold. Like we're collecting all the gold and putting it like in our hands.
What a scam.
I know.
They're like, we will have all of the gold, please.
Right.
Man,
So
I was dreaming yesterday of like what an amazing guaranteed viral video would be is if you could assemble like an actual chest, fill it with some gold. Like I would love to like go to a beach, be a regular there, wait till you find the guy who's like the metal detector dude.
Okay.
Who's just like every day he's out there finding bottle caps and nothing.
Yeah.
You know, he's focused on things beneath the sand instead of conch shells right there on the surface.
seriously,
Unbelievable. There's treasure right there for free.
for free.
Yeah. But he's hoping to find something fun and novel. I would love to like fill up make an art piece that is an actual chest, make it look ancient, fill it with actual treasure, and just like watch this guy discover it.
So basically what it is that you are in sheer and utter admiration of that guy who put in so much ongoing dedication that it's like you deserve this.
What would his reaction be to like oh, I'm gonna dig this up, and he'd be like, what? No.
It's like a treasure.
Because everyone who ever had a metal detector ever, no matter what they say, is secretly hoping this is the outcome.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
you realistically know that you're just hunting for quarters and pennies and maybe someone's lost watch.
Sure.
You know?
Yep.
But like in the back of your mind, in your sleeping mind, in your deepest of hopes, you're like, I'm gonna find a treasure chest.
Like, do you think
it's
like, is it possible that I could
who's to say?
Who's to say?
Who knows?
This is like, it's like the equivalent of like whenever the like Mega Millions jackpot hits a high enough level, I feel like there will be like enough buzz where it's like, oh, I'll go buy $1. Like I'll buy I want in on it. I want to be part of the fun.
Yeah.
Like I'll buy a lottery ticket. And then you have like conversations with all of your friends for the rest of the day. Like, what would you do? What would you do?
What would you do?
And you start having like daydream. So that's probably the real appeal of treasure hunting / metal detecting, is that it's you get that constant journey towards the potential for gold.
But you could, and it's like that. Why? It's like that doesn't even exist. There's not chests of gold. You know?
Are there not?
Are there? I don't know. Does it exist?
Why? Okay, who invented the chest of
Who
gold
invented
if
the
there's
chest of
not
gold?
actual chests of gold?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, pirates, right?
Maybe.
You have to think at some point they were using gold as real currency and they needed to actually transport it. And this was the way they decided, oh, we gotta have a locked box. We gotta keep all the gold in.
Right.
That has to be at the origin treasure chests.
It must be. Unless this is just like one of those things like, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Did the Coca-Cola company invent Santa Claus?
Oh, this is in some versions of it.
Okay,
there's a lot
maybe
of
like the
stuff.
Santa Claus that like we know with like the red hat and like the bushy beard. And
There is a
thing.
lot of intersecting ideas that have landed us at modern day Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that being said, my point would be that like operating under the presumption that is in fact true, it's almost like, who was the first person to come up with the idea of drawing, you know, like a coloring book treasure chest?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh man, how about this? How about like at the bottom of the sea, there's from a shipwreck, there's like a box that's full of gold. And it's just like it was just their pure imagination. But it just caught fire.
It has to be that at one point, you're right, like it was like you're operating with gold as the currency.
Right.
Or as the standard, and that physical gold had to exist somewhere, and if they needed to move it across seas, it was on ships, and if it was on that ship, it had to be in a box, and that box had to be locked,
Right.
so that people couldn't get to it. My guess is that, of course, that's not hard to figure out. This is why pirates would try and come and steal said treasure. This is all in my head. I'm making it up as I go.
This is how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
This is how it works. However, pirates would immediately also realize that, like, hey, wait, now we're just another boat with a box of goods in it.
Right.
Right. So that's no good, because now you're just the target of other pirates.
Right.
So pirates would then need a different place to put the gold, and they don't want that to be a well-known place. So you got to have. Doesn't have to be in the bottom of the sea. I think you have treasure chests in sunken ships because those ships get attacked, and then the ship sinks before they can get the gold off. And then the pirates don't have scuba gear in old times, so the gold is just lost to the future.
To the future.
Where some lucky dude is like, no way! I think we're figuring it out. This has to be what happened.
I'm going to be that lucky dude.
You're going to be that dude.
Yes,
You're going to go find the ships.
Yes. Well,
You're
probably not really, but like,
Yeah.
I do think that there is some reality of my world where the opportunity presents itself, and what I do is spend my days scuba diving, looking for treasure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ben,
We
let me
should
ask
add-
you this: if you were to make gold coins, what would you put on? If you were, what do you? Okay, let me back it up. What do you think of our present coins, like the quarter and the nickel and the dime? Are you happy with like the putting people and like national monuments on them, or like what would you put on a coin?
Ducks.
Ducks.
Obviously.
You would have ducks. Okay, so like more of a Canadian approach, I think.
Yeah, for certain. Yeah. Like, you know, it's there's always that issue of like, I mean, how can we be 100% sure that anybody that we would put on currency has never made like some type of mistake some point in their life that would then make it like bad to have them on a piece of currency or something.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? You know who's never hurt anyone? Ducks.
Ducks?
Ducks.
We are about to get a flood of duck-related accidents over on the Reddit.
Right. Yeah, it's like my local pond.
Yeah.
I was feeding some
You
bread.
don't even know. And let me just disclaimer before you send us your goose attacks person story.
Oh, gooses are not ducks.
Gooses are not ducks.
Oh, we should be clear about that.
We should be clear that all waterfowl are not created equal. Geese are terrible and aggressive.
Right. Yeah, don't group them in with our ducks.
Yeah, they honk, we quack, all right?
There's a difference.
There's a big difference.
Oh my gosh, we need a pivot. We need a new topic.
We need a pivot? Can I tell you about Luke's favorite food?
Please tell me about Luke's favorite food.
Okay.
Hold on, is it mayonnaise?
Absolutely not.
Okay, worth a shot.
If we're looking for a condiment, it's definitely ranch dressing.
Okay.
And every single night he'll be like, "Can I have some ranch for my chicken or whatever we're having?"
Okay.
And this is it gets me and Beth every single night because we'll be like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, dip it in there, that's fine." And we'll go get the ranch, and we'll be like, we're trying to put it on his plate, and go, I can do it, and he'll want to put the ranch on his plate, and it's so annoying because like. He will turn it upside down and he will just go whoosh. And it is like, it is such a puddle of ranch dressing on his plate every day. It's like, no, just lightly squeeze. He has no concept of lightly squeezing. It is always just a boo.
You are aware of the fact that a ranch dressing bottle is effectively a rudimentary squirt gun.
I saw on TikTok this morning the best water gun ever.
Ever?
It was like someone had finally figured out how to make like water guns into like paintball style, basically.
Oh.
So what they did was they had like you would stick the nozzle in and you just like push a switch and it would like suck up all of the water. You like stick it into like a pool.
Okay.
And it would just suck it all up in like 5 seconds, fill the whole thing.
Okay.
But then it had like a couple of modes where like when you pulled the trigger, it just shot like one like jet powered like water bullet basically.
Whoa!
Like, poof,
like a cluster.
Like a cluster, but it was like, that is so cool and exactly the way you could actually play like water guns. That isn't just like Super Soaker style where you just have like a tiny stream of water hitting people.
Yeah, the thing that I feel like I ultimately remembered about every squirt gun battle we ever had as kids was that they always leaked. Always leaked. You're constantly running out of water.
Yeah.
And it seemed like almost inevitably someone just got hit with a squirt gun, which like if you've got like a gallon of water in a hard piece of plastic being held by a child.
Well, yeah.
You have like
you have a recipe for tears.
You have like an almost slightly too heavy piece of equipment.
Yeah.
That is just like ultimately is going to cause more like of a blunt related issue.
Not only that, but every Super Soaker water gun fight you ever had as a kid, everyone only has the best water gun their parents could buy them.
Sure.
And someone's is way better.
Yes.
Someone's is like leagues above everyone else's. It can hold 3 times as much, shoot way further and way harder. And has laser focusing, and you're like, where'd you get that?
Right.
Yeah,
it's got a drone.
But the other thing about every water gun fight is that like it always starts off like this is going to be so fun, and everyone fills up for the first one is fine. Everyone goes to the hose, everyone fills up. We're like, okay, we're good, right? You guys start over there, we'll start over here, and we'll just go spray each other. But what happens is as soon as someone runs out, it's like they don't want to just sit and wait,
right?
So they go back to the hose, and the hose it's just like you're asking for it because you're gonna be standing still while you do that and everyone's going to spray you.
Oh, I totally thought you were going to go to the thought that there's no two ways about it. The hose is the best squirt gun.
That's the other thing. Like, why are you buying squirt guns? Every water gun fight also devolves to someone just picks up the hose.
Someone picks up the hose.
And it's like, guess what, losers?
What you really need is just a big faucet splitter and everybody's running around like hosed.
Yeah.
Like, so
you just need like 7 hoses. But
right.
This is better because now it's like you can just hit someone with like a burst of water. I was like, I would buy this. This is so cool. Anyway, Luke's favorite food is not ranch dressing or mayonnaise.
Could you put ranch dressing in the squirt gun you just talked about?
I think you'd probably ruin it.
Okay.
I don't think that would be a great idea.
All right, so his favorite food though.
When I put Luke to bed at night, his new stalling tactic is to say, let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something. I just want to talk about one more thing. And so normally I just like ask him about his day or whatever. And the other night I asked him like, what's your favorite food? And it looked like he didn't quite understand what I meant by that. And I was like, what do you enjoy eating the most? And then he was just like, he got this big grin on his face like, boy, I had not considered there was something I could enjoy eating the most. Like, oh my, he's just like this grin spreads across his face, like the very idea that he's going to get to like put a label on this.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh. And he just sits and he's like, he thinks about it for a second. He goes, maybe lemons?
Lemons?
I could not have been caught more off guard by lemons as the answer, because no one eats lemons.
Yeah, lemons.
Lemons is
are
not
like,
a consumer.
they're like the least. They're like the least snack-worthy fruits.
Yeah, like not that you can't eat a lemon, you can, but very few people do I know just just bite into a lemon the same way you might enjoy an orange or something, or an apple.
Is it not the case that like there is a stage in children's taste buds where like they can't quite taste like the sourness?
I don't know, because there's you can also look up like tons of great baby videos of like baby's first lemon or something.
Oh, and they like
bite
like,
and it's like the
yeah.
So this was the other really funny thing. Though I was like, first of all, I thought it was hilarious that he said lemons of all things.
Yeah.
But okay, fine, cool. You like lemons? That's great. And then I was like, oh yeah, you do make a lot of we make a lot of lemonade, don't we? We've got these like little Crystal Light, packets, and he likes to make the lemonade because he gets to like make his own drink. So he likes to pour it in and shake it up.
Potions master.
Exactly. He likes to make a good lemon potion.
I get it.
As a word, I'm like, yeah, you do make a lot of lemon. And he looks and he's like, yeah, lemonade, it does kind of taste like lemons. He's like, yeah, your lemonade does taste like lemons. It was not obvious to him that lemonade is specifically a lemon drink.
Right.
Like lemonade is a thing. Lemons are a thing. Okay. That's how, it's like so interesting watching the way like kids' brains sort stuff. It's like even with the word lemon in lemonade,
right.
You'd think it would be, but I don't know.
It's very interesting. Like even the idea of him realizing that like it is like he hadn't considered the possibility of having a favorite food.
Right.
Like that is almost a very interesting like. From like a pure psychology standpoint, like if that idea was never introduced to anybody ever.
I think about stuff like that. Like I almost hesitate to ever ask him about favorites.
Okay.
Because it's like, on the one hand, it's like it's useful information as a parent, but on the other hand, it's like it's equally useful to not know. Like if you tell me your favorite color is blue, then
you're gonna buy
I
blue
will
stuff.
default to getting you blue stuff only.
Right.
And it's like, or if I ask you what's your favorite color and you say blue, that might affect, like, you might not have considered, even having a favorite color. You just like the colors you like on the things you like them on.
Having favorites almost makes for self-fulfilling prophecies. Like,
oh yes,
because like on the one hand, like for me, like I like if you were to say like what's your favorite food, I'd probably say like steak. But what that usually means is that when I go to nice restaurants, you want to know what I order?
Steak.
Yeah. You want to know what I don't order?
Anything else.
Right. Because it's like, I'm like, oh, it's like, man, this is a nice restaurant. Like, it would be such a crime to not get like my favorite food from here.
Right, because it's going to be a really great version of that food.
Because this is going to be like a top tier. And like, I don't want to like waste having come to a nice restaurant and get something I don't like.
Exactly.
But like, what that really is doing is putting you inside of a box.
Right.
Oh.
Because then it's not like you go to a mediocre restaurant. Because then you're like, well, I may as well just get something I know I'm going to like.
Yeah.
It's not like, now's the time to experiment with the not as good foods.
Right. Oh, man. This is I've never considered this before, but it is very fascinating.
Normalize abandoning favorites.
Normalize abandoning favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, like favorites are not doing you any good. They're keeping you in not good imaginary boxes.
This is a weird thing because like doing what we do, we get asked a lot of like, what's your favorite?
Oh my gosh,
and it can be like, character in Pixar or Harry Potter book or something like that or whatever the case may be. And it's like, at some point, like, I like had to like sit down and decide what is my answer. Like, I know those questions are coming and it's like, I had to like decide what are my answers to those questions going to be.
Yes.
Like, and I had to like, actually, I feel like I remember having a conversation with myself. Like, it doesn't have to be an actual favorite. It just has to be like
how you have to know how to back it up.
Right. Like, I have to know, so I feel like what I eventually did was like, if I didn't ask you who's your favorite character in Harry Potter, like if you say Harry, like that's a really boring answer.
but why wouldn't Harry be your favorite? He's the main character.
Right, yeah, it's of course like, what do you mean he's my favorite character in Harry Potter? It's Harry. He's the main. He's like he defeated Voldemort. You want to check his track record? He's awesome.
Right. It's the graph of adoption of Gryffindor house over time is like peak and then like total drop
right.
off. It's like in the beginning, it's like Gryffindor, of course.
Like the best.
The good guys.
Yeah.
And then like as time goes on, you're like, oh, but Gryffindor is like the obvious answer. So like I need to pick anything else.
So it's like I don't know if I necessarily thought too much like, do I have a favorite Harry Potter character like all the times, but I know I'm going to get asked that. So I like determined like it's like what I'm like when people are asking me, should I be giving them like, what's my favorite? Or should I find what is the best answer?
What is the best answer? Yeah, I agree with that. And it's you're exactly right. Like, and especially with the Harry Potter stuff. Like, as time has gone on, it's like I almost want to like what is a character that like I enjoy like when they're on the page, but like it is a little off the beaten path.
Right. Well, so that's what I mean. Not that it's not. I'm gonna make sure I'm being clear. I'm not saying like I'm lying to you. What I'm saying is when people ask me who's your favorite character, like, I don't have a favorite character.
Yes.
A lot of times it's like, so.
But I want my answer to be good.
Yeah. So what is the correct answer?
Yes.
Yeah. Not like if I outright obviously have a favorite character, then it's a very easy, then I'll just say that.
Right.
But it's like, but I don't necessarily do. So how do I answer this? And the next best thing seems to be like, what's the best answer I could give you?
Right. Okay. So there's a couple of interesting ones with this that I've had where it is almost like I have had my previous opinions and then I have come to know what everyone else thinks and I can't help but let that like infiltrate my brain.
Right.
But
it's
like,
so hard.
It is hard. But like, so with Star Wars, I remember as a kid, of course it was just 4, 5, 6 before the prequels even came out. And my favorite by far was Return of the Jedi. Like it was the one where Luke goes on the diving board and we all know how much I love diving boards.
Right. Yeah.
He had the green lightsaber, he has like the big, fight with Darth Vader at the end. I thought the whole like, battle in like with the Ewoks and everything was like really interesting and fun and different and stuff. But like, it would have been Return of the Jedi, A New Hope, and then Empire. It was like, if anything, I was like, Empire's the boring one. Like it's the middle one. Like, like Luke gets hurt. Like it kind of ends on a sad note. Like I don't like it. It is not something that I would have regarded as the best Star Wars movie. And then like the more that we kind of got like entered into this world of talking about fandoms, the more it was the case that it was like that everybody unanimously agrees like Empire's the best one. It's like everybody knows like Empire's like it's the best. It's the best.
Gold
it's like,
standard.
Right. It's the gold standard. I'm like, it's like, and there's a part of me that's like, I know that information, but it doesn't change the fact that I still like Return of the Jedi more.
Right.
Like it's like if I'm being honest with myself, that still remains true. And
it's such a question. It's like, what's the best Star Wars movie? It's like what by what standard?
Oh, yeah.
It's like what has the highest production value? What does the best job accomplishing the messaging it's trying to get across? Which one did I simply enjoy the most? Like,
Yeah. Well, and then there's even just that question: which one is the best Star Wars movie? Because like,
that's its own genre now.
It's its own genre, absolutely. So it's like, yeah, you've got like the ability to say like, there is a movie that is technically the most well produced, but that doesn't make it the best Star Wars movie.
Right. Like Star Wars movies need to be like Star Wars movies.
You know what I'm saying? So, okay, but anyway, moving on from that, there's a similar one with the Harry Potter movies where growing up, it was like I never liked the movies as much as the books, which is not like a hot take or anything. I think that's the reason. Yeah, all right, general consensus. But the one thing that I knew was that I didn't like the third one. I didn't like Prisoner.
I didn't like Prisoner.
There was like all these like goofy moments. There's a moment where like Hermione's being like whipped around on the Whomping Willow and it's like just real kind of goofy. There's the moment where like the moon hits Lupin like a spotlight in the face. And I'm like, what? Like what is going on? This is so cheesy. But then I think there was a Nerd Writer video. Where he talked about why Prisoner is like the best Harry Potter movie. And it is, I mean, for one, he is an incredibly smart guy and also a pure delight. But it's like one of these things where I think that video was massively influential, and like all of a sudden it's and now again everybody's like, well, Prisoner's the best Harry Potter movie, like
Right.
like we all know that, right? Like of course,
Yeah.
and it's like, and if I'm like, again, if I'm being honest with myself, it was not my favorite. Like
The one I enjoyed the most was this one.
right.
And
Yeah. So it's like just another one of those like really odd things where it's like I know that I've kind of come to know what the expected and agreed upon, air quotes best is, but it's like, but I don't agree with it.
I don't enjoy watching it, so I don't know what to tell you.
Right. Yeah. So it's I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe we should do that. We should just do a series where we say like why Philosopher's Stone is the best Harry Potter movie, but we just do it for every single one.
We do it for every single one. So like
and we just water it down.
yeah.
We water down the favorite.
I mean, yeah, well, that's an interesting thought. I mean, we've kind of done this with the houses themselves, where we've got like in defense of Slytherin and
In defense of Ravenclaw.
yeah, Ravenclaw as
Right.
well. Yeah, so,
I've always wanted to do the in defense of Gryffindor, and it sort of to be like a big joke,
like a little bit sarcastic.
like a little bit sarcastic.
It's like it's not their fault. They're broom jockeys.
Exactly.
Oh man! All right,
Oh,
Dan.
boy.
What if we were to close out the day with a corny joke?
I like it's almost becoming tradition now that the corny joke is at the end rather than the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that? How about
Yeah.
that? This one might be kind of hard hitting.
Oh, okay.
I know. It actually comes from my wife, Alice.
Oh,
You ready for it?
I hope so.
Okay. What has 2 arms, 2 legs, and arrives in October?
2 arms, 2 legs. Oh. I think I know where you're going with it, and I don't feel like it is a corny joke.
It's not a corny joke.
It's not a corny joke.
It's an announcement.
It's an announcement.
It's
And
your
what? The element of surprise.
The element of surprise!
What?
It's your niece.
It's my niece.
Yes.
Yay.
I'm so excited.
Because you're having a baby. In case people didn't figure that out.
Didn't figure it out. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So Alice is pregnant and
Yay!
expected October 31st.
Oh my goodness.
I know. Halloween baby.
Oh man, that would be amazing. So we're definitely hoping for Halloween.
That's what, yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
what I'm hoping for. I
yeah.
mean, that's like, it's like one of those like really odd things about our house is like Alice kind of has this like affinity for like skulls.
Sure.
And it's like, you could come into our house and like, they're not really front and center, but like if you will see them. Like
But they're there.
but they're about. And it's like one of those things where it's like, if you're like, oh, I can see like where Ben's influence has been on like the interior design. It's like, you can get like the little skulls tucked in. It's like, no, those are not mine.
Those are not mine. They're like, oh, in that case, I'm going to take a lot of your points away because they were pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it is like the most fitting thing ever because my birthday is also October 25th. So I was kind of like, oh, it's going to be kind of cool. Like,
like the fact that, your daughter to be will be at the due date near the end of October.
Near the end of it. Yep.
Right. Okay. So you're in interesting territory.
Yeah.
Because your birthday right there is the 25th.
Right.
And the dad's birthday is the 30th.
Yep.
And then Halloween is on the 31st.
I know.
So you got a few cool ones you could land on.
I know. We're like batting 1,000.
Yeah.
Well, sort of. No. So there's some good opportunities. The other one, this is like there's really funny things where like I don't really like subscribe to like the horoscopes and stuff like that, but I am a Scorpio.
Yeah.
And like you start being a Scorpio, I think like on like the 21st.
Oh.
So it's like we got to make it that far.
You got to make it to the 21st.
Right. It's like one of these things that it's like I like preemptively can just know that I'll have in common with her.
Right.
And it's like I want that. Like
like this.
Right. It's like it's not for like any reason. It's not because I like am super bought into the idea or anything like that. But it's like if we're the same, then we're the same.
Then we're the same.
And that would be kind of fun. And then we're like on the same team.
All right. Well, if that happens, I'll make sure I get her just the nicest looking scorpion plush you've ever seen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You already
probably
know it's
coming
gonna-
out of a skull.
That might be a little morbid, but you know it'll be our favorite. You know it'll be our favorite.
Absolutely. And they'll be like, "Where'd you get that scorpion?" And she'll be like, "Uncle Jay got it for me." I'm like, "That's right." Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Uncle Jay.
Exactly.
That'd be so fun. Mm-hmm. Or she'll know you as the other host.
I doubt she'll know me as that.
Yeah. There you go. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of The Pop. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can get in touch with us if you have feedback about the show or if you want to just let us know what your thoughts have been. Probably the thing that gets to me the fastest is our email, which is popcornculturepod@gmail.com. We're also available or on over at Reddit, or you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/popcornculture.
Oh man, we'd love to hear from you.
We would absolutely love to hear from you. All of your thoughts, all of the corny joke submissions, fun facts about coyotes, really just anything that you could throw our way. Actually, last very tiny note there. I think that I was looking it up, and the Arizona Coyotes currently have a 2.7% chance of making it to the NHL playoffs. So
you're telling me there's a chance?
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
Yeah, it sounds like their fate at this. If you're at 2%, your fate is not in your own hands.
It's not in your own hands. A lot of things would have to go right.
Yeah.
But you know what? Sometimes that happens.
Sometimes, you know what? 2%'s not 0%.
Exactly. Otherwise, guys, until next week.
Pop, pop.